Force, Luke.
Sometimes truth isn't good enough.
I feel the need for speed.
Rey, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes!
Because it's their time. Their time. Up there. Down here, it's our time. It's our time down here.
Oh, you guys are here again. Wonderful. Well, it's Wednesday. And as you guys know, Wednesday means FrostCast. And FrostCast means me. Means Winter Wolf and King Z are back. We're going to drop the most up-to-date news from around nerddom that I could get my grubby paws on since last week. I got a bunch of stuff here. We're going to go through some MCU stuff and the Star Wars stuff that's typical, but there is some kind of newsworthy and I would say concerning stuff on either of those things. And then it's going to take a little bit of a shift into some more speculative things. We found a couple of interesting articles that I wanted to touch on and maybe get some analysis from King Z and you guys in the chat. So feel free to comment when these stories come up. I think these are more on the fun side of topics to discuss, and less, I think, on the usual harpy bitchy side of things. As these two particular franchises go, I think they get a lot of the heat, and I think a lot of it is deserved. We're talking about Star Wars and the Matrix on this particular thing. But and then I got some Harry Potter stuff that's just like a little rumor action there, but I wanted to get King Z's take on it specifically because we have very different views on the rumored person's ability to integrate into pop culture IPs, other talent notwithstanding. So anyways, this is a long intro. We're already here like 15 minutes. King Z, come on. There we go. Let's look at the dude. Shift to the right for a minute. We get to see the background. If you're actually going to do the green screen, you got to get out of the way, dude. That's dope. I love it. That's classic Doom. Love it. Nice.
Victor Van Doom.
They're really going to get that green screen unpacked. I told you, I got like two of them. I had like 2 consecutive Christmases where I got one as a gift, and I forgot I had one the year before. So I was like, I think I could use a green screen. She was like, okay, I'll get you one. Don't worry about it. I got 2 boxes over there instead of just the one box.
The one I got is actually really great because it just disappears afterwards. It rolls into a nice little traveling case.
Yeah.
No worry about damage, wrinkles, anything like that. It just goes right back into the nice case.
So
and
cool.
then good.
I don't think I got either one of those because my space here behind me on the deck is obviously my back is literally right up against my wall, and I have one of those L-shaped desks. So yeah. I don't think I have the horizontal. I don't have the wingspan to get any of the ones that do the snap roll up. I think they're a little too wide for what I have available behind me, which is a problem.
Well, we took the weekend. Actually, it's been about 2 weeks worth of we totally pulled out the whole office. Yeah. We flipped the bookcases. We cleaned out everything on the floor because we still had some boxes on the floor. I'm not going to lie, but
I seen them. We all saw them week to week, dude.
I mean, I saw everything behind me, but we flipped the desk. I got my wife a new desk, and then we got the green screen. So we cleaned up the floor and put some lights up. So got a pretty good studio going. I still got to get a little bit more of the light here, so I'm gonna work on my key light here pretty soon. So
you get you one of those little, just run over to Walmart, you get one of those little cheap ring ones real quick, and you just hang it right in front of you.
That's the problem. If you look at my glasses right here, you can see I have it. So
listen, dude, that's why I don't look in that general direction, and I try to sit above the light of my monitor. But what can we do? I think we look okay. We're going to be all right. But that's enough about the tech supporty kind of stuff and the equipment and all that good stuff here, dude. You want to talk news? You ready to talk some news?
Let's talk some news. Let's talk some interesting stuff here. Victor Von Doom.
Let's do it. You guys might have noticed on the topic and the title and the thumbnail this week, Doomsday is about to be officially on the clock. I couldn't fit all those words on the thumbnail, but the gist of it is that Doomsday is scheduled to begin shooting in April in England. And while that's not a huge bit of news for me, right? I think we already probably hey, Travis is here. I'm going to let you jump on him.
Hey, what's happening, man? What's happening?
There it is. Not the biggest news that they're beginning this year. I think we knew that because they already have a scheduled theater date and they're going to try and bang this through and kind of right the ship. But I think that the England thing is the interesting part here. And I think you know why.
Yeah, so I saw that it started shooting. By the date I got was March.
Oh, okay. This was the recent one on MovieWeb. And MovieWeb was the article I pulled it from.
and if it goes off of how the other Avengers were filmed, I had a friend who worked in the sound department. Well, actually, I had a friend who had a friend that worked on the sound department for, I think it was the second Avengers, and he was on day 7 of 128. So you're looking at a long time shooting, like 128, 130 days shooting. These aren't like quick put out projects.
No.
But yeah, I do know why they're in England. One, the Pinewood Studios, which was the former home of Marvel, the MCU, here in Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, Atlanta, Georgia was the movie capital up until like 2022. But after the writer's strike and then the actor strike and what could be an IATSE strike coming up, they moved to England because one, they've put a lot of investment into it. It has good tax incentives for the movies, and then they don't have to worry about writer strikes and like stoppage of workage. So, and now what I also found out when I was doing my research is I found out that Marvel is looking to move their headquarters, but not to England. They'll be filming in England for the next couple, but their new headquarters that they're trying to get, from the words of Kevin Feige himself, is Sydney, Australia.
That's an interesting take on things. They're not taking an interesting bit if that plays out to be true. I wasn't aware that that Australia was maybe that corporate friendly with any of their breaks and incentives and things. But that's kind of what I wanted to circle back to, because you and I talk about budgets and return on investment very, very superficially. We don't dig into the weeds. We're not actuarians. We're not corporate accountants or anything like that. But we famously know now, because I feel like the entire way people talk about and review movies and discuss movies now has changed in the last 5 years. It feels to me. I don't ever remember talking about budgets and the Matrix in 1999 or 2000, whatever that was.
They usually talk about it about when they were in the black, because most movies made back then were making a profit, and the ones that they saw that went straight to third market, which is like DVDs. And
I'm just saying, insofar as fans go, I just feel like the people are now talking casually about, it didn't really ever get back its production value. I see that those comments come up in threads and conversations all the time now.
Well, there was this invention. It was called the internet that was invented so people can whine about movies.
What I'm talking about, this is not going to turn into some Jay and Silent Bob movie burger situation.
I'm
going to show up at your fucking house. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. What I'm saying is, when you were 20 and you were shooting the shit on like the Star Wars prequels, you and your buddies weren't talking about, the marketing budget for this, and this is going to exceed whatever. That just wasn't how we talked about it. But now it has entered in, because I think people are just more collectively aware at how terrible these things are and the significant dollar values attached to them and how bloated they've become. What makes this movie interesting, like you were just saying about one of the tax incentive situation in England, is to earn all those tax credits and to benefit from all those things.
Yeah.
Certain disclosures have to be made now to the public, because the English, they're not messing around. They want to know exactly why that 25% of your massive spending, gets transferred over to them in the form of a credit. So they won't be able to hide behind being able to say, a Wikipedia journal entry person, we shot Doomsday for 150 million. That shit ain't gonna fly. Like, we're gonna get to the bottom of that fairly quickly, as they have to file those papers to get those credits on board. And I think it's an interesting thing, especially because this is their big one. This is it.
Yeah, this is the one.
This is their first big one.
Yes, their first big one in a while. New team up, possibly new team. So new Avenger build. And I think the problem they're going to have with this is because the reason why the MCU worked so well through the Infinity Stone saga is that they had a series of movies that built on each other, that built up bad guys, that built up stories, that built up bad stories. Now they're just thinking, well, we can rush through this and give us crappy TV series, crappy movies, and then expect for it to even a crappy bad guy with a crappier person playing them.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, a lot of crap. It's, Grandpa always said, don't try to fit 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag, and they might be getting there.
I literally just used that line in the first draft of Chapter 8 today. We'll talk about that another time. Dude, I feel like the MCU lately for me has been an example at the end, since the end of Phase 3 anyway, right? The MCU has been me doing more heavy lifting, me doing more homework for the lowest possible cohesive, enjoyable, creative, respectful product that they could have possibly put in that 5-pound bag.
Yeah.
Like, that's where they're at. They've thrown us 75 streaming series. They've thrown us 35 total movies. I'm talking facetiously, of course. However many odd movies that have been in those two phases. None of it worked with each other. The post-credit scenes that people used to look forward to, people are walking out on now. Like, nobody cares to stick around to see it because it's just them sitting around doing nothing. Like, it doesn't tease a glimpse of the villain. It doesn't tease, oh, snap, that's Adam Warlock going to come. There's none of that. Nobody cares. And then when you dump the streaming crap and even the comic stuff to a degree, they've got all these sources that you're supposed to reference to get where this thing is going, and none of it relates in any kind of meaningful way at all. And you just feel de-incentivized is the 75-cent word I'm looking for on that one. De-incentivized to follow all this crap. Now you're at a spot really where you can order, I feel, you can order your Marvel buffet plate from like your Marvel Chinese restaurant, like a la carte. Like, you can be like, oh, gonna need some beef fried rice. I don't need the crab rangoon today. I'm good. Let me get double chicken fingers. And you no longer have to take one of everything to build towards like the end thing, like you said. And that's disappointing because I feel like that was at least half the fun for you. Cause I think it was for me that even if the movie itself, the one movie was lukewarm, like say Thor Dark World, not my favorite, I don't think anybody's favorite probably, but like you watched it, you saw the end credits and you're like, okay, unless that was the one with Howard the Duck as the post-credit stinger, and then it's kind of a crap example, but I think you get the vibe of what I'm going for.
No, I think that was more of that was Guardian of the Galaxy that had the Howard the Duck.
Yeah, you're right. That was good, but you know what I'm saying? Like, even if the movie didn't hit crazy, you were like, cool. I still feel like this. It's like we talk about in storytelling all the time. We talk about there's forward progress being made. We're moving towards, no pun intended, the end game of this franchise. And post phase 3, nothing has moved the needle. Nothing has advanced the ball downfield. It's like they had the Chiefs at the bowl. You know what I'm saying?
The boycott bowl.
The boycott bowl. It's terrible. It's like they showed up and like switched teams at halftime. It was the reverse Space Jam, reverse Waterboy situation. Bobby Boucher did not show up at halftime at the Bourbon Bowl. Nobody had any of Michael's special basketball super juice. None of that.
They already had their vacation in mind.
Seriously. I think we got a couple from Travis. Let's bring up his first there. The MCU kind of screwed up with a sequel. You can watch Winter Soldier right after First Avenger and feel like it was progression without Avengers. Fact. Dead straight up. Perfectly. And then the other one from Travis, there's Spider-Man Far From Home required that you had seen Infinity War, Endgame, Iron Man, and Captain Marvel just for it to make sense. I feel like that's probably true because it did reference a lot of the aftermath of all those things. But I think it was more important. I think it was more important that you had seen the other Spider People movies to get everything you wanted out of Far From Home, so you could get that whole 3-person team up they were going for. What do you think about that?
That wasn't Far From Home. That was
I'm sorry, Far From Home.
Yes.
Not No Way Home. My bad. That was the first one.
The first sequel. The first sequel.
Hold on.
Homecoming, Far From Home.
Hold on, Travis. I'm re-rolling things in my head, buddy. Yeah, dude, I could see that, and that would probably explain why I didn't like that one as much as the last one or the second one. I thought the first two actually were not all that good.
From what we're seeing in the schedule is that the Spider-Man movies are going to have to do that heavy lifting in between Doomsday and Secret Wars as well.
They'll hopefully leave it in some capable spider hands. Rumors abound, like we had talked about a couple of weeks ago, on what some of the rumored plot options were going to be for Spider-Man 4. Maybe Tom Holland's last entry in the character, some of the ideas that he had pitched, some of the leftover ideas that I had seen from other places made it into that discussion. That was a good one. But yeah, I think that Doomsday is it's going to be a tight spot for them to hit the nail on the head directly so they can get the franchise back on the rails. But the connecting theme that I wanted to kind of link into before we move on was if Doomsday is going to be their thing that rights the ship, that sets things back towards not even profitability, but maybe enjoyability. right?
Yeah, we're
What are
not
you-
even worried about profit. We ended up
Right,
as
I mean,
fans,
you and I are
we're
worried
worried
about
the enjoyability.
You're right, dude. We're not worried about profitability at all. It's just an interesting objective benchmark that they can use to be like, I don't know, man. If it made its money, it means 70% of people like what we did, and you can't make everybody happy all the time. What are you gonna do? You know. But if they're using this as the reset, we're gonna bring all our big guns back in, right? We're going straight here on out. Does it make sense that Fantastic Four is rumored to, well, I think we know it's in an alternative timeline because it has that 60s retro futurism vibe set present day. So are we just under the understanding that the cast of the Fantastic Four is going to jump movie universes and wind up in MCU proper?
That's what the whole purpose of Secret Wars.
That actually does I'm not too familiar. I'm not too familiar with the line. That's actually going to blend those two things into one thing going forward.
So one of the rumors is, and it's based off of the comic, is that when they do Battle World, which is the Secret Wars, is that they're going to be pulling from all the multiverse. Because this is going to combine them all into one world where the Beyonder has them battle. Good versus evil, right. Winner take all. And that could be that they pull the Fantastic Four from their multiverse line and put them in Battle World. So we will not see them again until Secret War, which is 2027.
And do you figure that's how they'll get elements from the X-Men as well, from a different numbered movie universe via Battle World and end up in the MCU mainline?
Yeah, and they're setting up the X-Men in New World Order or whatever the new Captain America movie's called. I don't know. Brave New World. It used to be New World Order. I might go
see tomorrow, just so you know.
So yeah, Brave New World, which it is, it sets up Animanium. So you can.
Oh, that's right. That's right, because they reference the Celestial finally.
Yeah,
not the Celestial. Yeah,
it was the Dead Celestial that looks like
Dead Celestial, right from the Eternals. I was going to say the Eternal. I'm like, no, it's not an Eternal. My brain's fried today.
Which that is supposed to. The reason why they haven't used it before is, one, they said that ocean levels brought it back up, and two, they didn't have a way to mix it into the story that made sense until now.
Yeah, and three, you dickheads just forgot it was there.
They probably didn't forget. It's more like they forgot.
Dirty.
they just wanted to put it back in right. And by the way, you were right. I did see the reel finally of where Seth Rollins said that he was edited out of the Captain America movie.
Yeah, told you about it. I mentioned that.
Yeah. And I was also wrong when we did our review of Star Trek. They said Becky Lynch was in that one. She's in the Starfleet Academy show that's coming up.
Oh, dude, I had totally forgot about that, because I remember there was a lot of talk about that show recently when that one episode of Lower Decks, I think it was the last episode of the season or of the show, their animated thing, Lower Decks, where they had basically used a plot device in the show to basically decanonize Discovery and Picard as being officially an alternate universe and not just on like a Kelvin timeline. Like it's like, no, it's in its own box. Like, pay no attention to this crap. Spock doesn't have a sister. Picard never got told to, fuck his pride or anything like that. Like all that nuttiness is gone. Yeah, I remember hearing about that show. That could be interesting. It depends if she's got to be like in her late 20s. So, is she playing a cadet? Is this animated and it's a voiceover? We'll have to look into that show.
She is in her 30s. So
that's insane. So she's not playing a high school student.
Yeah, I think her and Seth are only like 2 years apart.
Right. So we'll have to take a look at that. But speaking of Star Trek and all things space and adjacent, this one doesn't pull from an article, but this is more of something I wanted to ask you about because it had popped up when I was doing our topic search. Not as anything controversial, but are you aware that the movie Interstellar has already been out for 10 years? Number one, let's start there. Are you aware that it's that old?
No, I did not realize it was that old.
I just saw that yesterday.
Yeah. Okay. It's older than 10 years. It wasn't 2024 or 2014 that it came out?
2014. Yeah. It's about 10. It's on its eighth re-release or something. And that was actually going to be my question that I wanted to ask you, because I noticed in looking it through, because the article was kind of singing its praises, talking about how it still dominates the box office every time it gets re-released. And I'm like, every time? How many times can you be re-released in a span of 10 years? And like, this thing's been brought back like 6 times, dude. And then it hit me, I was reading the article and people are singing its praises for the science elements. They had renowned physicist Kip Thorne consulted on the movie to lend believability and authenticity to some of the theories and kind of the scientific visions that they had for fourth dimensional space, temporal stuff, time dilation, things like that. And people cite having an emotional connection to the relationship between dad and daughter in the movie, and doing the whole love that transcends time and space backstory to it. But what I found interesting about all that discussion is that this movie continues to clean up. And then it hit me. The reason it cleans up is the movie plays very well in IMAX and in those premium formats.
That's true. That is true.
So the question I want to throw at you then is, you think it's odd that other movies don't take advantage of those formats when they get to like 5 years out, and then just bring back things that had previously, even if they've only been lukewarm hits? And that's what Interstellar was on launch. It wasn't a critic success like overwhelming, or an audience success overwhelming from jump. It took time to build to that level. But do you think this is a missed opportunity to make any money for theaters or studios alike? What do you think of that?
Well, I think that a lot of theaters do this. They have it's pretty much like second run summer, where they bring back Top Gun, they bring back Ghostbusters, they bring back Back to the Future. They'll bring back Lawrence of Arabia for a showing like on a Wednesday or Tuesday night when they don't have a lot of people going. Yeah, a lot of theaters are taking, a lot of studios are not taking advantage of this, which I think a lot of them do lose their rights of like publish or of releasing. I'm not sure how the legal works on that. How much they get.
Yeah, that probably
in this day and age, it probably should be taken advantage of more without having that third like rental market, because they used to get a bit of that rental money. Because they had to buy the cassettes so they could rent them out, or the DVDs later to rent them out. But now you don't have that. In streaming, you don't get paid per stream. You get paid a membership, and you get whatever's on that membership to watch, unless it's Prime, and then you're buying the digital version of the movie. So I think they should take advantage of it more. I used to love the second run theaters, or we call it the dollar movie theaters.
Yeah, second run was dope. And even the second run theater that we used to have in the city I went to college in, it had them for their Tuesday prices were crazy. It was like $4. It was nuts. But the upside even better was that the concessions were about a third of what they would be at like the Prime theater. You know what I'm saying? So the large drink wasn't going to cost you $8. It was nuts.
And there's movies you want to see on the big screen, but they're not $8 worthy movies. But $1.50, I'd go see that movie on the big screen.
$8 worthy, dude. We're up to like 15 on a standard screen up here, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, you live in super tats land anyway, so
yeah, the Chusets don't play. That's just how it is. But I was thinking about Interstellar because I'm like, I saw that in theater when that came out. I'm like, it was a good enough movie that kept me engaged. I like the sciencey stuff. When they start talking about time dilation, I dig in a little bit. Yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. I could see how that could work. I'm with that. But the other thing about Interstellar that I think lends itself to some of the success that it enjoyed is, unlike some of the other Nolan stuff, like things like Inception or Tenet in particular, we know catches the world's baddest rap,
and that's mostly because of the sound.
I think it's for the sound, but also I think it's peak Nolan trying like maybe even try-harding to go out of his way to have a movie be smarter than it is. And Interstellar doesn't really trip that threshold for a lot of people because it is grounded in that dad-daughter dynamic. And the science stuff uses a liberal amount of like visual aids as they explain, how the slingshot around, Saturn's going to work to bring him back, or how we're going to do this, and this to make this work. It keeps it accessible, and it doesn't get as mind trippy as like Inception, where they're trying to explain how you can fall from a dream into a lower dream into yet another. Like, it gets a little mind warpy. Interstellar really does play like a long episode of a good Star Trek arc, like a two-parter.
More, I would say like an Enterprise episode, because it goes more in that like beginning stages.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. Like, pick your good track. Pick your favorite. your most enjoyable series, and we go with that. But I'm like, I saw some of the box office returns too for Interstellar on this re-release that they're I think they're either just concluding now or might have concluded around Christmas this past Christmas, and they still cleaned up like 20 million. in the formats and in the theaters that they got that into for like its 7th re-release since its launch in 2014. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'd be putting Maverick back on that for whatever percentage I could get, as often as I could get. Not the original Top Gun, just like Maverick, like something that people have seen recently and had an overwhelming response to.
And this re-release wasn't a US release, so that's one other thing to understand. It was a re-release in India.
Oh, I missed that part. Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
So,
yeah, if you're reading this one itself was in India.
But doesn't that just back the point up even more, though, that like if you can get that kind of play from an international audience, you're definitely going to get a similar play to an American audience. It was an American film.
Maybe not. I mean, you have more people in India. If you do, and it kind of reaches out to a broader audience because of the broader themes of it. It wasn't a set American film, even though they were American astronauts. It can still play to a broader concept.
Well, I just meant that
play in these other countries.
American, insofar as it was made here, movies tend to play best where they're from. I.e., if you're a Korean studio and you make a Korean film, a Korean language film, it plays best in Korea. Same for Japan, same for China, same for us, same for Brazil.
Except for Godzilla -1, which played well everywhere.
Which, that's the mark of some high quality H2O. That's just how that works. But just knowing that the movie still has that kind of buzz has kind of reignited my interest in seeing it again. And be like, if it's still relevant, if it still holds up, maybe I'd be better off watching and reviewing that than I would be watching Section 31. Like maybe I could not do that. And we already did that, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, you can check that out in our back catalog under reviews.
Can do. But let's keep it in space, but let's run over to a galaxy.
Well, actually, let's answer some comments now.
Did I miss one?
We missed a couple from our previous discussion, so we want to give our viewers some due. So
we did that.
We did that one.
Yeah.
How about this one?
Travis. Okay, there we go. Travis says, was reading the Guardians comics, which led into Civil War II, but I was able to follow the story because it was in the perspective of the characters I was following. Phase 1 and 2 did that well. Indeed. I would tend to agree with that 100%. And that's the thing. When the POV remains something that you're already entrenched in and experiencing the media through, you can make certain jumps along with the characters to gain information as you go. Not feel lost.
Yeah, the way they built the characters and they all played off of each other, and they kind of had their solo films, so you kind of got to know them a little bit better than them just being thrown in. We're looking at you, Justice League, with Cyborg. So they kind of had their story to be built, so you felt for them when you saw the snap and you saw a lot of them turn to dust. Like you had an emotional experience, a significant emotional experience in the theater. If you didn't, you just didn't feel it, especially if you watch Peter Parker and Tony Stark together. Like that first time and you didn't know what was going to happen. It's like, no.
Right. Dude, nobody got off of that easy. Nobody got off of the snap easy. Whether you're talking about, Black Panther dying, you're talking about Sam getting snapped, you're talking about Peter in particular, but the Guardians, that was rough to watch as they all crumbled out. And you're basically only left with 5 of the original Avengers because, of course, Black Widow is gone.
Yep.
So that was tough. That was the Empire. That was a modern day Empire Strikes Back ending, which is why it still sticks, which is why people still talk about it like we're talking about it now, and which is why nobody can tell me how Black Widow ended in her movie. Nobody cares. Somebody tell me what happened at the end of Shang-Chi.
He fought his dad.
Because I probably told you about that like a year.
No, I watched that one. I thought the comedy was pretty good in it, and I liked the lead actor. So,
dude, 2 words for you: Aquafina. Can't do it. Let's stay in space. Let's pull me up the Rey Palpatine article, if you would. And I'm gonna go big screen on mine because I actually want to do a little reading rainbow time today.
Get those bifocals out.
This is regular non-progressives. This is some Clark Kent shit. Don't get it twisted. Even though I'm wearing a Deadpool sweatshirt, it's neither here nor there. But it says, "Shh, nobody cares." It's pretty good. I like it. And we'll skip right past the headline here. Daisy Ridley's latest Star Wars updates make me feel a lot more confident. But pump the brakes, everybody, because they didn't make me feel a lot more confident. Because once again, we've got celebrities that say 500 words that say nothing, or at best contradict what they said, right? And I'm gonna have you keep rolling for a couple of seconds. You'll get down. She has a quote that's in a box. Oh, no, we're not gonna. Oh, dude, Screen Rant has a premium. Gonna be a nod from me, dog. That's all I'm saying. Screen Rant has a premium. Premium for what? Premium for what? Roll this down a little bit. She's got a quote that's kind of in an offset blue box.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I read this earlier.
Let me just read this quote to you here. So this is from actress Daisy Ridley, who of course plays the Rey Skywalker air quote character in the sequel trilogy, and her being more involved this time. Earlier in the article, she cited as saying, "I have a lot more involvement in the upcoming Charmin Obaid-Chinoy New Jedi Order film. It's still totally happening, of course, right?" Quote, "I don't know that I'd be a producer on it, but I certainly have been very involved. I'm involved in, well, not very involved in, but I'm involved in as much as I know what's going on. I know the story. I know what's going on with the script, so I'm aware of all that." Okay.
Yeah. So
not a great start, Daisy.
She needs to learn what the word "involved" means. It's she's aware and she's in the loop.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think what's been really wonderful over the last few years is being more involved from the start to finish, really coming to set knowing this is the absolute best way we can tell this story. These are the best actors for the job. This is the best crew for the job. Having that confidence is so lovely. And it's not that I didn't have that before, but I'm so much more cognizant of it now. So in that way, I've been looking forward to turning up, really knowing the ins and outs of what the journey has been, and we're arriving at the absolute best place to tell this particular story. Dude, that's literally 800 words, like my 9-year-old would say when he's trying to explain something that he's superficially aware of. Surface level. There's contradictions abound. It's a bunch of gobbledygook that says nothing. And at its best, does she think this makes me feel better about this movie? She needs us, you know? Am I crazy? What do you think of the quote? What is your overall impression of her takeaway from here? Of her statement, if you will.
So we have a term for this. It's called coach speak. This is saying stuff to the media so they will stop asking questions.
Dude, honest to God, dude, it feels exactly like that. But you know what? It's not even good coach speech, because a good coach's speech riles you up, gets you to lock in, gets you to like work together. Does that whole
no, you're thinking of locker room speech. This is coach speech when they're out there on the podium and they have, they're out there doing their press conference pre-game and during the week, and they don't want to tell you that we're going to be running a man spy on Lamar Jackson as their defensive plan, but they're talking about he's a very good player. We're going to have some of our top players monitoring him, so we have a good defensive plan against him. That's coach speak.
Now, see. So I have a more specific version of that. I've always called that my John Maddenisms, where if you want to beat the other guys, King Z, you're going to need to put more points on the board than he did.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, coach. Like, okay.
Got it, coach.
The Patriots are going to have to absolutely score points this quarter if they don't want to lose their 14th on the season.
Okay, I know this is totally off topic, but you got to go with your best Maddenism. The one I heard, it was like, it looks like, I think it was Brett Favre at the time. Brett Favre's on the sideline looking for his contacts. He sees better when they're in.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's George Costanza Seinfeld level like observational comedy. That's what it feels like to me, but unironically. So this chick makes this statement about how she's super involved, but she's not likely a producer, and she's just in the loop. I'm like, well, you're only in the she's only one more notch in the loop ahead of where we are. Where the minute somebody leaks out, hey, the official synopsis of Jedi New Order is Rey actually does start a New Order class, but one of her students goes dark side, and she has to convince their twin whatever. And then we're all on the same page and we're all in the loop. It's like, this doesn't make me feel better. And I think later on in the article, I'll get to Travis in 1 second to frame him out. Oh, dude, it looks like above that, Travis burned me on the Shang-Chi knew what happened. He knew what happened at the end of Shang-Chi. Whatever. You Travis, you and King Z can grab a beer at the end of the show then. Whatever. You both saw You both saw Shang-Chi. Congratulations, both of you.
Like I said, I liked the lead actor in it. So
Aquafina. That's all I got. And I don't like Simu Liu. He's a dick in real life. I'm good with him. Elsewhere in the article, if you can roll it down, I'll go back to big screen. I just want to catch this one quick as well. It says there was where she mentions she mentions Shinoy by name. It might be right there. Stop. Signed up. Wasn't Marissa that I see the script at all? Oh, here we go. Yeah. Nevertheless, Ridley was excited about Obaid Chinoy's creative direction for the movie. Elsewhere, she said, I was impressed by the ideas that she wanted to bring in. And I'm like, that's not, it's like that Office skit where, Michael Scott, his company just gets bought out by Saber Paper, and they do like a couple of cuts to him as Gabe is saying the new thing Saber is going to do. And Michael Scott's like, don't like that. And they repeat that like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, that's how I feel about every time Daisy Ridley has opened her mouth in this article, where it's like every next thing she says about something she's excited to be a part of in this movie doesn't really ingratiate me it doesn't make me any more confident. Like I'm off the feel good about this movie track. Not that I was ever on it,
but at least it's positive that's coming out of her. She could be doing what's her name, who's doing Snow White. She could be Ziegler'ing it.
She could be Zieglerifying the whole thing. True. She's not outright bashing what came before. And I think she's wise to know that we already interpreted everything about her last involvement. Not that it was personally her fault. She didn't write. She took a job.
Yep.
And she should do that. She should cash the check, secure the bag, all that good stuff. Never have I thought anything about her for doing that. But I'm not so sure that I'd be leaning into things that my thing is this, I guess. In 2025, I think that celebrity representation, their PR groups, their agents, their handlers, they should be watching YouTube. They should be on Reddit. They should be seeing Twitter comments and understanding how polarizing some of these things can be. And then coaching their clients to not lean into the things that seem to trip a certain level of animosity one way or another, and maybe referencing a director that's had 57,000 YouTube videos made about how they don't really want, fans may not want a feminist director type to headline this franchise. Maybe just not mention that, maybe just avoid that.
Yeah. But once again, you don't also want to talk to, you don't want to have bad feelings going into a project. You need that. You want to be excited about it because you did sign on for it. It doesn't matter who the director is. I'm still going to give my best in this. And if not, you're going to become one of those, you'll be labeled a diva. And then it's like, she's too big for her britches. And then the people are going to be talking bad about her instead of, what this could have been. So, and then when you're like one of the 2 major companies that's out there casting people, like Disney is very loyal to their people. Look at Pedro Pascal.
Everything.
Yeah, he gets cast in almost anything that Disney has their hand on because they're loyal to who they are. So if you want to become someone who's out there bashing Disney, like we really don't want this director, but she's the one who signed on. No, you have to talk good like this. Once again, coach speak. You don't want to sit there and bash a player like you have an edge rusher who had a really great rookie season and then hasn't done nothing the last 2 years. And we get asked, hey, is this guy coming back in the lineup? He's like, he's been making progress in practice. We'll see where he's at on game day. So
dude, we've all heard those lines too, man.
It's the same thing. Once again, it's coach speak. It's what you have to say to the media to put on that good front. And it doesn't matter what people like us are saying, or even the professionals out there that are saying stuff. It would just show that you have no integrity. It shows you that you would have no loyalty, and you signed a contract. And a lot of these contracts they're going to use you because a lot of them are pay or play. So they're going to pay her either way. So yeah, it's not on her, and for her to try to step up and be more involved, like a Charlie Cox, and we're seeing what that's going to happen when Boyle again. We might get something more into her wheelhouse where she's not acting for what's written on the page. They write what's on the page to suit her skills.
You see, the difference is Charlie Cox has those. So I mean, there might be, like, I get what you're saying on the level. Like, I understand. But Charlie Cox probably knows his way around a Daredevil comic. Maybe it was something he grew up with. Or Daisy Ridley is not that person. where I don't think she's not necessarily a Star Wars super fan. I get what you mean, though. I get what you mean. She has to play the game, and the game sticks her between a rock and a hard place, kind of like the Brie Larson conversation we had last week with the whole, she probably didn't really change her mind on any of these positions, but somebody coached her up enough to know that you should be telling reporters trying to trap you for a soundbite that no matter how I answer this, it ends not well for me, so I'm not going to say anything, and try to do a little bit of preemptive damage control. That's probably true of Daisy, but I guess we'll wait and see. I want to go next to, if you're ready to move on. You ready to move on?
Yeah, we're good.
You were eyeballing something on the side there.
Yep,
okay,
I'm getting things ready.
Cool. I start up a message real quick. I just wanted to comment on that. Just to give you a copy of that star.
Oh, hold on.
I think it was from Travis.
Yeah, I had to close out of something.
Yep, no worries. To be fair, I can tell you what happened in Highlander 2: The Quickening. Travis, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to my website. It's www.callthe800number.com. Highlander 2: The Quickening was terrible. I love it. I can't quote the whole thing, but I also know what was going on in it. And I didn't think the Highlander was necessary to create like a global wide O2 replacement shield to protect humanity. I did not enjoy that. Also, here we are, Rey specifically. I'm excited for what they can do with Rey. She's emotionally stunted by her parents leaving and forced to be an adult without crucial growth, but doesn't let go of her innocence in the end. Dude, I mean, it's too late for that now, though, man. Let me hit you.
It's never too late. It's never too late. One is never too far in the shadow that they cannot be brought back to the light.
That's not what he's saying, though. He made a very specific point about character growth. So Star Wars might not be too far into the shadow that it can't be brought back. But let me hit you with this example. I was listening to Red Letter Media the other day. We were talking about Picard, right? And how in season 2 of Picard, the writers wanted to insert like an emotional obstacle for him to overcome, right? And the thing that they settled on in his adult, in the waning years of his adult life at age 110, and that's no joke, like in Star Trek, humanity's life expectancy goes well into the 120s, 130s, I think.
Makes sense. Technology advances.
Of course, right. So I'm saying, so my man's up, he's up there. He's not middle-aged, but he's aging. He's like 110, right? And the emotional obstacle they wanted him to wrestle with was the apparent and never before mentioned suicide death of his mom. And I think it was Rich Evans of Red Letter Media that was like, might have been Mike. He's like, I'm guessing that, Picard's made it this far in his life, acquired the success he has, developed as a man as he has, the diplomatic skills, the hard-nosedness of getting things done. He's probably made peace with the fact that his mom died when he was 8. And that's how, and I connect that to what Travis was just saying about Rey. It's whatever she went through, their opportunity to have her deal with those challenges was literally The Force Awakens. Because everything after that now, she's Super Rey. So by the time New Jedi Order rolls through, it's not rolling through though. It's not happening. When it gets here and she's now 10 years older and she's presumably in her 40s, 50s even, I don't know. Like she's not going to, I don't think she'll be looking back on those experiences of losing her parents when she was 5, because she's grown up, been trained, and now she's responsible for other people. So I don't know that so much that they'll be able to give her that.
Right. 2 things.
Shoot, go.
Counter your point. First off,
I love rebuttals.
To Fitz Picard, you're right. It shouldn't have been something that happened so long ago.
Yeah.
And they already had the perfect emotional thing. He was married to Beverly Crusher, correct? That was the thing. Yep. He had to deal with being Wesley's stepdad. Right there's enough for him.
But I don't think they can come back. He can't come back from that at all. That's just how it. Shut up, Wesley.
Shut up, Wesley.
I love that. I love when people meme actual Will Wheaton with that in real life. That's good shit.
Will Wheaton loves it too. He really does.
He might not like it if I told him shut up, Wesley. That's 2 different things.
And then 2 with Rey, they could play off of that if she's trying to help someone who's going through the same thing as that mentor role.
Yes. Okay. That would actually be an effective and clever. I will give you that one 100%. Do I think Disney can do that via their Lucasfilms brand? No. Not
with who's in charge.
And it really all does come back to that. it really all does come back to who's writing this stuff down, who's workshopping these concepts and ideas.
And then who has the overall say on what gets put in and what gets put and what's taken out.
This very much, if it gets made, will be a super Rey movie. There won't be any character growth. She'll be as perfect as she can be in running the academy. Whatever happens to any of the students won't be her fault. It'll be an extension. Then there's that. Travis, that's might be the most savage I've ever seen you writing here, buddy. Yeah, he did look like Tom Hardy. He really did in Nemesis. He really did. And now not so. Dude, I'm betting at this point though, Patrick Stewart, who's like actually 89 years old, would probably take Mr. Clean. He might, because he's looking his age. He's looking his age. Travis, side question before we move on to our next topic. What did you think if you saw it? What did you think of Picard season 3? If you want to hit that in the comments, we'll read you out. We'll move on while you're working on that. We're running short on time, King, which is always a good thing for us. The Order 66 one is interesting. I'd like to do that one. And I think then if we could wrap that up pseudo quickly, we could just touch on the Harry Potter thing and the Stranger Things topic. No articles, no videos that we had planned. I just wanted to get your take on a couple of things with that. Is that cool?
Sure. All
Let's
right.
load me up the Order 66. I'll go big screen. Bloop. Can you give me a little zoomy zoom? Maybe like 110% there.
That was weird.
Yeah, that was weird. I was saying there we go. Perfect. That's perfect. All right, now roll me down and I'll get rolling here. So this is the stupidest Star Wars complaint that finally needs to die. This is courtesy of Chris Snellgrove on Giant Freaking Robot. So yeah, I'll pick it up from here, but the gist of it, originally Emperor Palpatine wanted to, he intended for no Jedi to have survived Order 66 because this was the big push to have them killed and cement his control of the galaxy. While we already knew that Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi would survive the Purge because canonically they're in the original trilogy and we knew that. Other canonical Star Wars shows, books, and comics keep revealing additional survivors like Kanan Jarrus, like Ahsoka Tano, like Asajj Ventress, like the other one, Voss, I think his name, because he's the one that ends up with Voss. But in either which way, the complaint here is that every next time they make a Star Wars product, we're introducing yet another Jedi that showed up that survived Order 66. And I wanted to get your take, King Z, because I don't think we've ever really talked about Order 66 outside of maybe the dramatic impact of like what it looked like when it went down in Revenge of the Sith. It was an awesome sequence. I don't think anybody was ever really disappointed by it. I think it was kind of the highlight, really, of the prequel trilogy in a lot of ways. But plainly stated, what do you think of how Order 66 went down? Do you think it makes sense that in a galaxy, in a world that spans a galaxy, not like one star system, not one planet, like a galaxy, that more than the 2 original planned survivors would exist? Or does it cheapen it every time they say, oh no, Ahsoka was out there the whole time. Oh no, King Z was out there and hiding the whole time. Oh no, Yaddle was out there the whole time. What do you think of that concept? Does it make sense that more of them survived, given there were relatively few of them in the first place?
Well, it depends on how far you go with it, as well as how well they hid, and then why didn't they start building a resistance sooner? If they,
yes, and I had that on the note. Continue, please.
So
you hit the topic for me.
So yeah, if you keep growing the list, at some point you need to cap it off. Like you did say, a majority of the Jedi were taken, and then that was the whole purpose of Vader. Like they had the whole thing with Vader; he was hunting down,
Inquisition, basically.
Yeah, hunting down the remaining Jedi, and he did use the Force to locate them and kill them and stuff like that. So yeah, Order 66 itself, like the initial ambush, probably only did take a few of them. I would definitely hit
a few.
I would take a few. I mean, they never said what their actual numbers of the whole order were, of how many knights, how many Padawans. I think it was, but only 12 masters.
Whoever was on the council, like that was it.
They're the only Jedi masters.
I think there was about a dozen seats in there, if I remember right. Yeah.
So some of them would be taken out, but because he never was given the rank of master.
Anyway.
So Yeah, I would believe that a lot did survive the initial Order 66. Then it's how many did Vader hunt down and kill would be the next one. But then if they are in hiding, like Yoda didn't do anything. He didn't try to find anymore. He just stayed in Dagobah, was kind of happy. Obi-Wan was on his mission to guard Luke and Leia's identity. So some of them have their purpose, but if some of them survived, why didn't they try to communicate or like have a fallback type system where it was like, if we get separated, this is how we get. But then now that I'm thinking about it and talking out loud,
yep, spitball it. This is why I have you.
They probably wouldn't have had that type of thing because they were the overall force in the galaxy. They were almost too confident for their own britches, so they wouldn't have those type of contingency plans and fallback points and stored caches and stuff like that where they could build a rebellion. So they just went into, I'm just going into hiding. I'm old man Jerry who runs the bakery on Yavin 17. So
well, let me put you at ease a little bit there, and you guys will have to forgive me, and maybe somebody, if when they watch this, they can comment. I got about 7 books going at a time over here, and 3 of them are Star Wars, so I don't remember in which one of these it is. But the opening sequence, it might even be the book that introduces Harrison Dula and Kanan Jarrus, of Rebels, where they're basically talking about how part of the Jedi training, like one of the Padawans asks the question of the master who had asked the class, in the event of a disaster or in the event that you're needed, this beacon can be triggered. That way it reaches all of our Jedi allies to show up at a certain place to assist and render aid and do all that other stuff. And I think it's Kanan Jarrus in the book. And again, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and check. He's like, but master, could that signal be used as a warning instead? Could we actually broadcast it to let us know not to go somewhere and that something was wrong and that we should remain unseen and off the grid until further instruction? So they actually do hit on some of that officially somewhere.
Okay.
But knowing that exists, that's what really chaps my ass, like you were just hinting at. Knowing that system exists, and I think this lends itself to the problems with only ever doing prequel stuff and not really moving the story forward. You end up in this kind of position where you're like, well, how does a group of ultra powerful space wizards take a solid beating? Let's say they lost half of their guys. Dude, you lose half an armed forces in a conflict and you lose. Like, that's just how that works. I don't even think you need to lose half. Like, you lose a significant enough percentage, like a quarter to a half, you might be in some shit. Nukes notwithstanding.
No, you take nukes out of it. You can always fight from a weaker position to a stronger position into a victory. It just depends on how you regroup and what you have in reserves.
Right. But I think there's a, like, if we put this in video game terms, when it hits below a certain percentage, like, your leadership should probably make a decision and say, hey, like, we're going to offer terms of surrender here because we really don't want our culture annihilated. Like, that's generally how world warfare has worked throughout human history. Massacres notwithstanding, and like people actually being wiped out altogether.
We're looking at you, Genghis Khan.
Looking at you. So if the Jedi lost half their guys and gals, and they had that system that could tell people to go safely into hiding, why don't the other 50%? Why was that move never made? That is kind of frustrating now that I think of it, man.
Why was it a bunch of nerf herders built the rebellion on the bats of Mon Mothma and spies than it was the remaining
civilians,
Jedi?
Basically.
Why did Yoda just go into hiding as probably the most powerful Jedi and not try to do anything other than, beat a robot with a stick?
It was over a drumstick, though. It was over like fried chicken. I would have done the same thing. Mine. Like, beat his ass too. Yeah, that does kind of chap my ass, because you're right. Like, if you're Yoda and the galaxy, and this is their work, man. This isn't just us, because they made it that way. Anybody can be a Jedi. Anybody's force sensitive. Like, this was them, not us. If you're Yoda, you've just now spent 40 odd years in hiding when you knew there were other people out there that were force sensitive, Skywalkers or not. You could have brought people together into the fold, into the fray, and maybe kicked off that rebellion. You know what I mean? Or at least restored the Jedi faith, or their religion, like somewhere remote. You know what I mean? And done that kind of thing.
And I mean, you have people like John don't work here anymore, who was Force trained, but not probably a full Jedi.
5 seconds. Full Jedi. Dude, I don't even know if that dude had time. I mean, that was after Order 66. That dude probably never even had time to grow the stupid braid. I mean, let's be honest. He said he was living in a hole. Like, that shit happens. But yeah, I think that's I like reading Chris's article there on Order 66. I think it is kind of, as they've invented more media to flesh out the franchise, it is tough now to let the original vision stick, where it was like, no, Obi-Wan survived and he was watching over Luke, and Yoda pissed off the Dagobah and he was just going to hang out there and wait.
Yeah.
You know, like the uniqueness of that is gone. Yeah,
you kind of had that problem with Star Trek and Discovery as well.
Absolutely true. Read out Travis for me.
They should not stop introducing. They should stop introducing so many survivors, but also acknowledge that not every Jedi was caught off guard and easily taken out by the
shot
clones.
In the back. Right. True,
and then,
true. And that's my defense for Luke. Luke sat out for 6 years. Obi-Wan Yoda sat back for 19. Fair enough. Also, though, Obi-Wan and Yoda didn't try to lightsaber their nephews for having a bad dream, though. So there's that. All right, so let's wrap up with the 2 mini topics real quick, because I want to get your take on both of these. Okay.
All right.
Lightning round. They were lightning round. Saw the article. Don't remember where it was. I think I probably just saw the headline, saw the name, and said, "Got to tell King Z about this one." So, Fleabag, Phoebe Waller-Bridge herself, is now rumored for a key role attached to the Harry Potter series. It did not say in front of the camera. It did not say behind the camera. Given what you know or what you've enjoyed of her work, remember that's the woman that was in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Dysentery.
Yep.
Just to put a name to it in case you haven't seen Fleabag or didn't get the reference there. I've seen Fleabag. I thought it was all right. It was kind of funny in a very British kind of way. You know what I mean? Like millennial women humor. Kind of funny. Does this trip your radar as concerning? Okay. Are you excited that she's attached? Because we have very different takes on Indiana Jones. Where are you at for this? Or is this a nothing burger for you?
Don't actually care. It's a series nobody wanted because it will ruin what they did with the movies. Even though the movies weren't perfect, they were still a really great adaptation of the story. And I know a lot of Harry Potter fans do not want to see this series made.
I have a differing take on that. I know a few people that do, because the people that the friends that I have that do want to see it did not wholly enjoy the movies because they did not adapt the books as directly as they personally would have liked. So they're hoping that a series would get a better crack at that. I'm like, okay, I can see some validity there. My concern, of course, with the notorious PWB being brought into the show is she's going to inject some of those femdroid politics from Rogue One. You remember she voiced the droid's rights, Lando's girlfriend droid from Rogue One. She provided that character's role. And that's basically her real life outlook. She does lean exceptionally left. She does lean exceptionally feminist. And I don't want any of that injected into the Potter because it's never had a place in the Potter before. It is a diverse cast. It does have men and women. It does have a varied power structure that has very powerful women in it. So I don't need her tipping that scale from like a normal level of diversity in the cast in terms of the gender.
So you don't want Harriet Potter?
I don't. Not only do I not need Harry Potter, I don't need Harry Potter, but at every turn of the road, he's subjected to her being some kind of dickbag, whether it's because she's writing, producing, directing, or God forbid they cast her as McGonagall in some way out there mind clusterfuck. Like, that would be fucking terrible. But that's just me. The dialysis of destiny.
Yep.
I'll bring up the one I starred from Travis before we get into the last topic. Yeah, to think Bail Organa saved Yoda, which he did.
Yeah.
Which he did. And Yoda did nothing while Alderaan exploded, probably while Bail was on it with his family. Just
they actually had a scene where he looked up. They had a scene from the castle where he looked up and saw the green light. Like there was actually they never made the movie when they did all the when after he was cast, you know how George Lucas kept going back and adding stuff to Star Wars, like the whole Jabba and everything. So after what's his name? Sims, who played Yeah, Jimmy Smits. That's it.
Yeah.
When he played him, they had him sitting at his palace looking up and saw the green light before it hit the planet and
Okay,
exploded.
that's pretty savage. And his dying words were "fuck you, Yoda." Like,
Yeah. That's
happen.
no space station. That is no moon.
That's no moon. It's a space station. All right, and the last one, because this is a little bit more exciting. We're going to end on a positive note here, or exciting note. I think you'll get a kick out of this. So in my travels, I was seeing that a Stranger Things project animated series was optioned in 2023 in production, being made soon to release date TBD. What do you think of that format idea for something like Stranger Things? Because I'm guessing you're not as excited as I am, because I'm kind of excited.
I think it would play better than worrying about the cast pulling AARP before they film this 5th season. So
and that's why I'm excited. Dude, that's why I'm excited. They had a video that was attached to the article, and I just caught the first frame of the video, like where they load up the first frame as like the thumbnail for the video.
Yeah.
And the artwork, if this is what they show actually looks like the characters look like the guys. So it's exactly like you just said. It's like, we don't have to worry about these kids aging 3.5 real world years between seasons. Yeah. So they could literally just get them to voice act, or they probably, I mean, now they're grown now, so they probably have to recast voice actors to hit that 11, 12-year-old pitchy, squeaky voice. But like, the vision as I was reading it for the series that they had was to do it up like a Saturday morning cartoon, very monster of the week. The boys get into some shit. They got to figure out a way to get out of some shit. And I'm like, that might be a little too simple for me, but I like the idea of a weekly kind of thing for them to get into. Mm-hmm. Build more of that team building thing. Let them try different things. Because like we were saying the other day with streaming, you can't commit to a 10 episode live action series at 30 million an episode and have any of them drop the ball. But this, I could get behind Stranger Things animated. They could do some wild shit like that. Just like a D&D show should be animated. Yeah. It'd be great.
I do like that live action D&D movie though. That should get a sequel.
I know. Surprisingly heartfelt at the end. He saved the girl's mom and not his wife.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. Had a fat dragon. Fat dragon rolled. That shit was hilarious. Right?
It had Chris Pine playing the lute.
It did, and doing kicks,
yeah,
doing a Lane from Seinfeld full body drive. He sent to music kicks. It was pretty bad. It was pretty funny. It was all right. But dude, I think that we actually rolled through every topic I had on here except for the Matrix one. Maybe we'll put a pin in that for next week, because that was more of a, does the world really need a 5 after what we got for 4 situations? Maybe we do that another day. Yeah. But yeah, dude, I think otherwise we banged everything out. Maybe we'll talk about Thunderbolts as that gets closer to, because I think, wasn't that a Super Bowl trailer?
Yeah, they had the Super Bowl trailer. Maybe we might do a separate video for it, like we did some other trailer reactions.
Yeah, we do. Maybe we do that. Maybe we do that. We do that ahead of our sliders video. Oop, I might have spoiled that.
Ooh.
Whoops a doodle.
No, if you didn't catch, we have a brand new playlist called Best and Worst of Classic Sci-Fi. We started off with some Star Trek TOS, and we have a new one planned for this weekend where they're dropping on Sundays because there is no NFL anymore. So you got plenty of time to watch our videos. So I hope to see you there.
And we will get there when we get there. I'm going to say, hey, Travis, thanks for stopping in. I hope they bring back Eddie in Stranger Things Season 5 too, but I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm just saying that. And King Z, read us out. We'll see you guys later.
Well, see ya.